everybody, today I'm going to film a cruelty-free makeup tutorial. So a little disclaimer to begin with, just so that we don't have the comments going backwards and forwards. I know some people won't agree with some brands because they are under an umbrella of a company that will test on animals. For example, Too Faced is under Estee Lauder. However, all the products that you are purchasing from Too Faced have never been tested on animals. I obviously want to get that out of the way to begin with because I know some people won't want to support brands that are cruelty-free, that are under an umbrella of non-cruelty-free companies. I'm going to start with foundation. Today I'm going to use the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Cream. This has an SPF 50 in it. This is super hydrating and it also has anti-aging properties in it, so that's really good. It goes on so lovely. The shade I'm using is medium and I'm just going to apply it with my fingers. If you've never tried this before, definitely give it a go. It's so lovely. It smells more like skincare than makeup, which I really like. And as you can see, it goes on beautifully. So I've cleansed my skin today and I've put on the Dr. Jack Tinted Broad Spectrum SPF 50. It's so nice. It's like cucumber. I'm going to link it below if you're interested in trying it. It is pricey, but it's incredible. So yeah, I've got that on my skin at the moment. So even though this has SPF in it, I would still recommend that you apply an SPF underneath. This is one pump. I would need to put 3 pumps of this on my face in order to get SPF of 50. That's quite a lot of foundation to be wearing. So you're better off applying 3 pumps of your SPF where it's untinted, doesn't have anything to it, and then apply your usual 1 to 2 pumps of your foundation. That way you know you're definitely covered. I'm going to go in with a second pump. I love that you can just kind of slap this on, get it on with your fingers. So simple. So if you're in a rush, this is a lovely foundation to just get on with your fingers. It is like applying a moisturiser. It's so lovely. Under my eyes, to bring a bit of brightness, I'm using the bareMinerals BarePRO 16 Hour Wear Concealer. This is a full coverage, really creamy concealer. And this is in a stick form, so I'm going to take this underneath the eyes. Just in a bit of a V shape. The shade I'm using is Medium 08 Neutral. Initially I'm going to buff that in with a brush because it is slightly thicker. And then I'm going to press that in with a damp beauty blender. This concealer is so good. It's one that I use on a daily basis just to brighten this kind of little dip that we all have naturally. And I normally press it on top of my SPF. It just kind of makes it a little bit thinner. I really love it. It's so creamy that you can just blend it in with your fingers. You don't even need to use a brush. The brush I'm using has synthetic bristles because they won't clump the hairs together. Then I'm taking my damp sponge from Ciate London, which has the little pig snout on for Mrs. Piggy. And I'm going to press that over the top. And it will just absorb any of the excess product and help press it into the skin for a more natural looking finish. Because I am so glowy, I'm going to set my skin now. Under my eyes, I'm going to use the Becca Under Eye Brightening Setting Powder. I'm going to use it on my sponge and I'm going to press it underneath the eyes. I don't want to take it too high up because that area can become quite crepey, and if it does move with the powder on, it will become cakey, which makes it hard to blend out. If you leave it with just the concealer and it moves, it's easy to blend back into the skin. Same on the other eye. Make sure that you've taken down any creasing before you apply the powder. Otherwise it's going to set that crease in place. You can use your finger to dust up towards the area where it creases the most. And then that way the amount of powder there is so minimal. Again, Becca is cruelty free. They are under the Estee Lauder umbrella, but they do not test on animals. And obviously this is all at the time of filming. If you watch this at a later date and it's changed, then all I can do is apologise. To set the rest of the skin, I'm going to use the bareMinerals Original Veil. This is so lovely. It's like applying silk to your skin. When you get a new one of these and you get the tab, don't try and pull it off. Instead, pull it up slightly and twist it and it will snap it off, because otherwise these can be a real pain to open. Also, you may or may not know that at the back of the bareMinerals pots, you can just pop this off at the very end to get out the remaining product, and then this can be fully recycled. And this isn't a heavy powder. I really like that. It's so lightweight. For my brows, as you know, I'm going to use the Urban Decay Brow Blade in the shade Cool Cookie. Urban Decay are also cruelty-free. If you want to see how I use this brow pen, I'm going to link it on screen for you now. Moving on to eyes, the palette I'm using today is this one by KVD. It is a vegan palette which is fully recyclable and it's called Edge of Reality. In this palette we have 6 matte shades and 8 shimmers. I'm taking the shade called Levels, which is a medium grey tone, and I'm using this just to sketch out the shape of the eyeshadow that I want to create. This really is such a quick and almost like slapdash way of applying eyeshadow. I literally sketched it out with the medium grey shade, then I went in with this warm brown shade called Stimulate, and I'm creating a winged shape, lifting it out on the outer corner towards the end of the brow and then tracing the shape of my socket. I definitely recommend tracing this shape with the grey shade first, because if you make a mistake it's easier to remove. Next I'm taking the shade called Dimensions, which is this shimmer champagne shade, and on my finger I'm pressing that onto the skin. Now this does work best with your finger because the natural oils from your skin really helps to pick up and lay down the shimmer. I've applied that 2/3 of the way across from the inner corner of the eye towards the outer corner, but before I lay down the very outer edge, I'm going in with the shade Immersion, which is a matte finish in a light coral shade. This is a really subtle effect and it isn't necessary, but I like to apply it underneath the shimmer because it just adds a slight warmth, which just creates a very subtle gradient. Once I've tapped that up to the edge of the wing, I'm going to take a angled liner brush with the brown shade and connect that with the outer corner of the top wing down towards the eyelash line. Then taking a small detailer brush, I'm going to start buffing over the socket line, and I want to do this to start diffusing the line so it's a bit softer, and it also makes it a little bit wider, but it'll look very soft compared to how it looks now. As you can see, with just very little effort it is blending nicely. The key with this section is to use a very light hand. Hold your brush towards the end of the handle, that way you will have a lighter grip, which means you will have a lighter hand when you're doing your blending. And remember not to take this colour too high. The idea is that it's very subtle, it's softly blended in the area that you've applied it. We're going to fill in this section of the wing using the brown, and I'm going to use the same brush that I've got in my hand. I did record it but it didn't come out, the footage seems to be corrupt, so I can only apologise that I don't have the footage, so we're going to skip straight to the next section. I also took that brown underneath my lower eyelashes as well. On a fluffy blending brush I'm taking this matte finish eyeshadow in the shade Code, which is a terracotta shade, and I decided to warm up that socket a bit more. However, if you have less space you do not need to do this step. Next I'm taking the ZOEVA Graphic Eyes in the shade Glance, which is a medium brown with a pearl finish, and I'm running that along the waterline. If you have slightly smaller eyes you might want to apply a cream colour there to make your eyes look bigger. The mascara I'm going to use is this one by Too Faced. It's the Better Than Sex mascara. This was a firm favourite of mine for many years. I love the multi-bristle wand. The formula is really black and it lasts really well. This is a really buildable mascara, so if you're looking for volume that is probably a little bit spidery up close but really effective from a bit of a distance, then you will love this mascara. Obviously 1 or 2 coats is not going to make your lashes spidery, but I just mean if you really want that buildable volume without the need for lashes, then you can do that with this mascara. I'm going to apply some individual clusters by SWEED Lashes. I find this gives the most natural finish and the best way to enhance your natural lashes when you are wearing more of a daytime look. I like to take those lashes halfway across the eye, and then I like to apply a very light coat of mascara. This not only helps them to merge with your natural lashes, but it does give them a soft fluffy finish. On a small detailer brush I'm taking Dimensions, which is the champagne shade, and popping that on the inner corner of the eyes for a really popping highlight. This will be no surprise, I'm going to use my bareMinerals Faux Tan Endless Summer Bronzer. So I'm going to use a big brush just to work that onto the skin in a bit of a free shape. I'm using a big brush because it just covers more surface area, it diffuses the product a lot quicker, and it just gives a softer look. It takes no time at all to add some warmth to your skin. As subtle as that is, you can see it just adds a little bit of structure to the face. If you do want a little bit of extra definition, you can go with a smaller brush and add a bit extra, but keep it slightly smaller and a bit more defined, and that will just give you a bit more structure. You can also take that down the sides of the nose. Also into the temple area. I'm going to use a blush that I used to use all the time and I have literally not picked it up in years. This is one that I broke Looks a little bit of a mess, so I can't bring it too close to the camera or else it will just all fall apart. But this is Illamasqua Lover Blush and I adore this colour. If you followed me for years, you'll remember this shade. I love it. It's a matte finish. It's a coral tone. It's beautiful. So I'm popping it on the apples of the cheeks. Pump your cheeks up. And then you can see where you need to apply it. It's kind of where you smile. But a false smile, so it doesn't look like a smile when you're doing it. I love that it gives your face a really fresh finish. On the lips, I'm going to take this colour by Nude Sticks, which is called Nude Peach, and this is a nudies matte finish. Since we've got a peach tone on the cheeks, I wanted to do the same on the lips. Even though this is a matte finish, you can see when I swirl it with my finger, it does have moisture in there. It's not completely dry. So it'll give you a matte finish, but it's still hydrating. To add a little bit of highlight, I'm going to use this new palette by Hourglass. This is the Ambient Lighting Edit Sculpture. How gorgeous is this? So it's a version of the original palette, but with 3 exclusive shades to this Christmas collection version. I'm going to take this shade here and just apply a little bit to the tops of the cheekbones. I'm going to keep it really high, if you can see. It gives a soft luminosity rather than it being like chunky glitter particles or too frosted. It's one of the best products for that natural glow in a powder form. So this has a beautiful bronzer. This is a lovely, lovely kind of corally, shimmery blush. A bit like how Charlotte Tilbury's Chic to Cheek Swirl Pop Colour blushes are. This gives the same effect. Beautiful, really lovely. So I will link everything I've used in the description bar below, but I'll link that palette. They do a mini 4-quad version as well. So that completes today's makeup tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget, all the products I've used will be listed and linked in the description bar. Come follow me outside of YouTube on my social handles, which will be on screen for you now, and I will see you next week. Bye.